Your participation is your participation is crucial in achieving your skills and achieving success in the dynamic field of managing projects. Thank you for being a part of this enriching experience. For today, our facilitator is none other than Mr. Friday Gabriel Udo. Mr. Friday Gabriel Udo, some of us we know him already. He's one of our top facilitator um, here over MJB Management and Integrated Services. He's one of our tops. So over time, after our courses, our training, we've asked for feedbacks, and they said they still want Mr. Friday Gabriel Udo. Mr. Friday Gabriel Udo is a professional. He's a project manager, he's a supply chain manager. In fact, he's vast in the knowledge of management. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to welcome Mr. Gabriel Udo to help us out. Mr. Gabriel Udo, the stage is yours. Welcome on board.
You're welcome, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I hope we all had a wonderful day. I'm sure some of us are still even in the office.
Yes.
Some of us are still in the office.
Apparently.
Just be ready. Just be ready. Just if you are married, call your wife that you are closing by 8 o'clock or 9 before you get home. Only God knows. That's the sacrifice.
Exactly.
That's the sacrifice. Well, we are all welcome to this, and a very big thank you to MJB Integrated for all the opportunity given and everything that they've been doing when it comes to training.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Somebody called me and said, I have never been so how did he even put it? That he's never been so taken into the realm of training such as this. That over time somebody will say bring 10,000, bring 20,000. At the end of the day, getting certificate is an issue. That initially he thought MJB is the same, but when he had the first bite of what they stand for, every training that MJB has been conducting for the past how many months, there's no training that this person has missed. If I mention his name, maybe some of us will know. That is a testimony for, a satisfied customer. A satisfied customer that has trust in the system, is confident that no matter what you part with, no matter how little or how much you part with, you're definitely going to get value for what you have. Of course, nobody has cried or seeking to go to police station for a certificate that was not given after training and all of that. The last training we had, you could see the proceedings, you could see the commitment that every person across the country got their certificates. Uganda, Ghana, Abuja, Cameroon, name it, they all got their certificate without any issue. I think that is something that boosts confidence, that boosts trust, that you can recommend MJB to any person and go to sleep knowing fully well that insurance covers you. So once again,
thank you, sir.
For the job well
thank
done,
you, sir.
I want to say a very, very, very big thank you to the Institute. Okay, so
thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. We are moving swiftly to project management, how to handle projects. How to handle projects. Say how to handle business. You are not far from the truth. How do you handle business? How do you handle your life? Because your life is translated to becoming what? A project. Working alone as an individual is a project. A going concern in business, we say a going concern business. Business that is ongoing, that has not gotten to that level yet, but is still striving to get there. An ongoing work in progress. That is what each and every one of us, every business that we have, every project that we have is regarded as work in progress. So when you talk about project management, first and foremost, you understand the meaning of the word project. You also understand the meaning of the word management. Like I often say, project management is just like husband and wife. A man that is legitimately married to his wife, for a son or for a child to come, the both of them must synergize. The both of them must meet. There must be a lot of activities ongoing to ensure that the child comes to existence. What am I trying to say? You cannot achieve anything tangible without the application of management. Nothing can be achieved. Nothing can be actualized. Nothing can be visible without the application of management. So also the project. What is a project? Like I will always say, you take your life as an example of a project. Okay? You were conceived, you were given birth to, you went to nursery school, to primary, to secondary, university, had your master's, your first degree, your second, third, even up to 10th, had your PhD, married, living well, living large. At the end of the day, you are declining. The next thing, oh, with gratitude to God for a life well spent, we regret to blah, 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 blah. That particular project that came into existence has done what? Ended its phase. That is what project is all about. And in between your existence, let's say 70 years, you are 80, you are 100, there are a lot of things. You plan, who do I get married to? From what tribe do I get married to? What level of degree do I want to achieve? Which kind of school do I want to go? Do I need a PhD for what? Do I need to work for somebody, or I don't like carrying files? Yes, or no. Let me work for myself. All of this is what translated to what? Planning, execution, initiation, and what have you. The same thing is applicable to projects. So that let me disabuse this mindset that when we talk about project management or how to handle projects, you say, I'm not in the construction industry. I'm not building a house. I'm not a civil engineer. I'm not this, I'm not this. No, project is not only for the construction engineers. It is much, much more than that. It is much more than that. Project applies to everything that we do in life. From your individual self, you woke up this morning, right? You woke up this morning, you set out to go to work. Last night, you had already planned the clothes to put on. You had already planned the shoes that will be comfortable for you to wear. You have already planned the transportation that will take you to your office to and fro, because you don't want to turn a professional beggar. Excuse me, sir. I'm actually, you see, it's not that I want to, it is not in my character to disturb somebody, but I don't know if you can help me with 300 naira. No. You have planned yourself. 1,000 is going to take me to office to and fro. Right? You have planned yourself within this festive period. These are XYZ things that I'm going to do. God keeping me alive. That is planning. That is putting into action all those things that you have planned for. As a matter of fact, to some people, this is end of the year. They are beginning to make like risk analysis on their job. What if the way this company is going, what if by January they say they don't need the services of 10 people? What if I'm among? What will I do? And what if my contract is terminated? What if my landlord says he doesn't want me in his house again? What if? This is what risk analysis. You are analyzing the level of risk associated with your life on the job that you are in. The same thing is applicable to what? To a project. That's why I said that project is not only until you get a contract to build a house. No, you start a business today, it is a project, because everything that you will put into building a house is the same thing that you will also put into putting up a business. Are you talking about communication management? Are you talking about stakeholders management? Are you talking about integration? What about procurement? What about risk analysis? These are things that you put into your business, also into the building process. So, a project is a temporary endeavor that is embarked by an individual which has a start date and also a finish date. In other words, there is no project that continues in perpetuity. There's no project. Every project that is embarked on is expected to have a start date and also the finishing what date or time, as you may put it. That is what project is: a temporary endeavor that is embarked by an individual. It could be a group of people, okay, which has a start and a finish time frame. So you don't say, I'm doing a project and the project is lasting for 1 million years. No, that is not a project. So when you talk about the management aspect of the project, you are making reference to the application of tools, application of knowledge, application of techniques in order to bring that project to reality, to achieve its intended purpose. Now, this is how I have a project that I want to run. Let's say in the year 2024, I want to run a logistic company. That is a project. Now, the conceptualization of the idea has started. I have conceived that I want to do what? Run a very successful logistic company. That is an idea. So every project is birthed out of an idea. There's no project that comes on board that was not premeditated by the individual in charge of it. You don't just wake up tomorrow and this morning, no, I want to do this. No, You must have been
Okay.
able to conceive.
Uh-huh.
What will this project achieve? What is the intention? What is the objective of this project? Is it to transform lives? Is it to meet a particular need? That is the first phase. Initiation. Initiation is the first phase where the idea comes in. There's conceptualization. You begin to ask yourself, what and what and what do I need? What do I need in order to do what? Bring this project from its conceptualization stage to where it can be a prototype. It can be visible for people to understand exactly what I want. Okay? That is what we are talking about, the 5-word process group in project. This is geared toward handling what? A project. Initiating, like I said, or you call it conceptualization, is the first step. When you conceive an idea, what are you supposed to do next? Is to plan. You don't conceive an idea for a project and then go to sleep to say, it is God that gave me the idea. He will do it. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So what do? You plan. How do I run a reputable logistic company? What will it cost me? Who are the kind of manpower that I need? What techniques do I need? What technology do I need? What about the feasibility studies? Am I located in a good location? How do I get to my stakeholders? How do I communicate, share these ideas to intended stakeholders to see reasons from my own point of view? Okay, they've all agreed. They bought the vision. How do I source for the materials or vehicles that I need? Which company do I go to? How do I get my drivers? How do I get the workforce? How do I pay for the location that I want to operate? What are the risks involved in this? Do I have the capacity to bear the risks alone? If the answer is yes, fine. If the answer is no, so what next do I need to do? Who are the people that I can approach to mitigate the risks involved in logistics? This is what the planning. You begin to put things in place. You begin to put things in place. Can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. Mute your mic, please. Thank you. You begin to put things in place. Can you put your mic off, please?
Somebody else is going. All right. Good night. Take care of them.
Mr. Martins, can you put off your mic?
Okay, sorry.
Mute your mic, Mr. Martins, please.
Sorry, sir. I didn't know it was on.
Okay, thank you. So we begin to plan. How do we move from this level to this level? Then we'll talk about, after your planning, the next thing is for you to do what? Execute. You know the people that you want to contract for a particular level of job, assignment. You begin to execute. Who does what? Who is given the role of what? Okay? Once that is done, the next thing is what? Is controlling. You control what is happening within the scope of what? Of the business. The reason for the control is to ensure that we do not deviate from the initial plan. We do not deviate from the initial objectives, from the goals. that this person is not doing what suits him. But everything that must be done in line with the overall objective of the organization. That is a total control. We know what comes in. We know what goes out. We know who is responsible for what, who is held accountable for what. So that at the end of the day, the objective is what is achieved. And then we talk about what? The closing. The closing is the actualization, a stage where everything has been done and you see that the business is well managed the way it was, put out there as a prototype. Then you now close. This closing in some area of BM of project management is talking about the deliverables, the state where the stakeholder or your client is delivered to the job that you were assigned to do. Everything is complete at this point. For example, you are building a house for somebody, at the end of the day is to deliver the key to the person. That means the project has come to an end. At that point in time, sometimes the completion, the closing of that project can also mark the beginning of a new project, still on that project. What do I mean by that? Can somebody explain what I mean by that? The completion of a project can signify the beginning of another project, still on that same project. Can somebody explain?
Okay, let me explain. I'm Brown on it. Let me explain. I'm Brown on it,
Okay.
Lawrence. Okay, quick one.
Okay,
when you are given a project to handle, the client will monitor you. And when that job is successfully done the way it was planned, the way it was expected, or you meet the expectation of your clients, then more jobs will be given to you. Like we say, where we work, when a good job is done, it signifies more jobs. So that is only when you be assured the next project. Understand? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other person? Unstoppable. Monday, Sylvester, Michael, Martins, Echugudo. Any other person?
Okay, let me speak.
Zachariah.
Martins speaking.
Okay, Mr. Martins.
Okay, so I want to say the conclusion of one project could lead to the starting of another one. That is, for instance, if you have a project to conclude so maybe to have a building. Then by the time you conclude the building, maybe the installation of equipment will be another stage of the project. And if you are a construction company, you will also be given that project to handle. As a civil engineer who has completed the building, you may also be given another aspect of the project, which may involve the furnishing of the building or any other thing that may arise from that project.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, that's very obtainable. You finish up a project now, like he said, example of a construction company. You're done. At the end of the day, because of customer satisfaction, just like what Mr. Lawrence said, you are asked to do what? To be the manager of that maybe building or the estate. That is another project entirely still on the existing project that was handled by you. So in projects, what we emphasize And it's not only about projects, is also, like I said, business. Project is business. Business is project. What we emphasize and hold dearly is customer satisfaction. This thing cannot be overemphasized. It cannot be rolled out. You can't joke with it and then still be relevant in business. It's not possible. It is not possible unless you are using voodoo or any other means to stay in business. You cannot do without customer satisfaction. The same thing is in project. Every project, every sponsor of a project want to be satisfied to a large extent. They want to be satisfied because their resources is in the project. Okay, so these are what the 5 process group of project management. This also applies to any form of business that you want to go into. Just go through it, have a different interpretation about all these 5 processes, and you will see that it is applicable everywhere. So we talk about the project management book of knowledge, which talk about the processes that we've just mentioned. Okay, you can see how related they are. The planning gives birth, the initiating gives birth to planning, right? Then you could see the planning gives birth to what? Executing. What are you controlling? You are controlling things based on the initial plan that we had. Is it in line with what we gave out, what we wrote down, the prototype? Is it in line with everything that we wanted? This is how the arrow represents. You've executed. You are now controlling. Controlling also the execution process. Why are you controlling the execution? So that if there's anything that needs to be adjusted, it could be done before the closing. Because in most projects, there are certain things that if it is ignored, overlooked, you cannot remedy anything when it gets out of hand. You cannot. Let's say, for example, you are into the construction business. Once your foundation has issues, you cannot correct it. It's difficult to correct the foundation. I can correct the plumbing work. I can correct the electrification. I can correct certain things, but it is difficult to correct the foundation. Meaning that before anything is done, the foundation is controlled to see that it is in line with what we want to achieve. There are some that you can correct, like I said, and there are some that you cannot correct. So that is what the controlling aspect before what the closing. So we say that the arrows represent what? Flow of documents and documentable items. This is how the flow comes up. This is how the flow is. So my question is, as a project manager, who are your stakeholders? Who are your stakeholders? Anybody can respond, please. Who
All
are your
right,
stakeholders?
I'm Brian Onimi Lawrence, sir.
Okay.
All right, stakeholders are people or set of people or persons that gave you the contract, and also people that are supporting you in the contract. Even you, the project manager, you're also a stakeholder because all of you are there for one goal. That is my take.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other person? Any other person? Any other person? Okay. So when you talk about who a stakeholder is, you know, sometimes we are mistaken to say that only people that bring out money to sponsor the project are stakeholders in the project. Yeah, they are stakeholders, but as far as any project is concerned, there are other stakeholders. There are other what stakeholders. But the important thing is, as a project manager, what you need to do or what you need to know is stakeholders identification. Stakeholders identification. When we talk about stakeholders identification, we are making reference to classifying, categorizing your stakeholders based on their levels of importance, based on their levels of involvement, based on their level of activeness. Okay? The person that brings money to sponsor the project, oh, of course, is a stakeholder, a major stakeholder. The worker that is working within that project or in that project is also what? A stakeholder. The people within that environment where the project is ongoing, they are equally stakeholders. Even the miscreant, the area boys or whatever you call them, they are also what? Stakeholders. The law enforcement agencies, they are what? Stakeholders. And you will ask, why are these people concerned about a project? They are concerned because in project, a stakeholder is any person that the completion of the project affects positively or negatively. That is who a stakeholder is in project management. An individual who is affected by the completion of the project, either positively or negatively. Let's say, for example, the community that you are living in, every now and then you hear people cry, I was coming by 7 p.m. They snatched my bag. They robbed me. They took my phone. And suddenly there's a project to construct a police station close by within that community. The residents of that community will be so excited that this project is affecting them what? Positively. But the perpetrators of the evil will be angry that this project is affecting them what? Negatively. So every person is being affected either positively or negatively at the completion of the project. The question is, how do you categorize your stakeholders and give them the necessary attention that they deserve individually? That is what is paramount. I come to a place, my workers they are also my stakeholders because the completion of the project means that we are going to be paid. Once I am paid, they are also paid. It affects them positively. If the project is not completed, there are issues and I'm not paid, they also cannot be paid. and is affecting them what? Negatively. So in categorizing your stakeholders, we categorize them based on their influence on the project. Stakeholders' influence on the project. What information? How do I manage my stakeholder? Having identified them, having categorized them, how then do I manage them? Managing your stakeholder means that you must understand each and every one of them. Understanding each and every one of them also entails that you know what each and every one of them wants as far as the project is concerned. There are stakeholders that you cannot call anyhow. You know how to manage them. There are stakeholders that want complete analysis of everything that transpires within the scope of that project. You give them what they want. There are some that will tell you, come, I'm not ready for stories. Just give me a brief. What happened today? You give them what they want. That is what understanding your stakeholders. There are informations that only your major stakeholders can be, opportuned to, can be privy to, whereas other stakeholders cannot have such privilege of such information. That is what understanding your stakeholders. So, as a project person, as a project manager, the environment that you find yourself, you must be careful to understanding the influence of every stakeholder in that project. As a matter of fact, there's no stakeholder that should be discarded. Every one of them play a major role. For example, in Lagos, there are places that you cannot do anything without the involvement of the area boys. These are people, they are stakeholders in the project. They didn't bring money, they didn't bring anything, but they are stakeholders. The completion of that project can be dependent on them. The non-completion of that project can also be determined by them, if only they are treated well or otherwise. Imagine you are constructing maybe a building or stuff, situating a business plan, and they are not being taken care of. They come and you chase them away. Hey, get out. Hey, this. And the next thing you go and bring police. For how long will the police be in that premise or in the location that you are? They will come, destroy everything, and you go back to square one. Why? You did not give them the attention that they are stakeholders. So every stakeholder should be what? Categorized and then taken care of accordingly. So, like we said, we've already talked about the project, the temporary endeavor, and all of that. Okay, let's look at the project management, the application of knowledge, skills, tools, techniques to project activities to meet what project requirements. Project management is accomplished through the use of the processes that we did what we mentioned. Now, the work of the project talks about competing demand for the scope, the time, the cost, the risks, and what the quality. You cannot remove any of this from any given project, from any given business. So your knowledge of the scope, the time, the cost, the risk, and quality determines the level of the project. So if I may ask, how is this applicable? For example, scope. How is scope applicable to projects? How is scope applicable to projects? Mr. Lawrence, how is
Okay,
scope?
sir. Yeah. Okay. A scope is a particular set of job that is incorporated in projects. For instance, like what we are doing on site now, we are working on this water tank, and that water tank involves different type of activities for it to be done. We have to do cleaning, we have to do welding, mechanic have to do spading and despading, unbolting, a change of gasket. Then the mechanical support has to do their own cleaning, purging of water, and all sorts of that. All these people that comes together to make up this project are scopes. The welders have their scope for welding and fabrication in case there's any dispatch or something. The mechanicals have their own scope. Fine, your own is to dispade. Make sure there's no kind of entering into the tank for them, other people that are working in the tank to work safe. You dispade, you open the manway. That's mechanical scope. Then the mechanical support will come to do their cleaning. And so all these bodies that comes together to make up the project are distinguished as scope.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. We can also say that this is WBS, work breakdown structure. Okay, just like you mentioned, scope, staying within your jurisdiction, doing the things that you are asked to do. For example, you talk about the mechanical, you talk about the welding, you talk about what other this thing again. Now imagine the mechanical jumping his own responsibility or role or his area to doing something else. That means he has gone outside of his scope. So in projects, we are emphasizing that as much as you are an expert, a professional, don't go and do I too sabi. Stay within the scope, the confine of your scope. Don't go and do, I've been in this ministry for 50 years now. I can do and undo. It doesn't work that way. Every project has what? Its scope. You are given a plot of land or maybe 1.5 plots to put up a structure. You have the prototype, exactly what you need to do. On completing the 4-bedroom duplex, because you just saw maybe half plot, you say, maybe I should just put 2 units of 2-bedroom flat. Who sent you? Is that part of your scope? You have gone outside the scope, which is unethical as what a project manager. That is what scope is. Then we talk about time. We talk about what? Time. We said at the beginning that a project is a temporary endeavor embarked by an individual, which has what? A starting time and also what? The completion or ending time. So your project must have what? Time fixed. How do you manage your time as far as project is concerned? Mr. Zechariah, Ambrose, Lawrence, how do you manage time as far as the project is concerned?
Okay,
how is it applicable?
A quick one. Yes. As you can see, time is very, very important, very, very key, because that is one of the important aspects of a project as it is defined. Project is a temporary thing. It has a time frame. So the means of working on your timing, you have to do what they call monitoring. You have to monitor the scope to know how it's moving, how the people are working. Are they putting more HOTT as the hands-on tools? Are they doing it when they're supposed to do it? If you don't watch it, don't monitor them, they will not do what they're supposed to do. And that thing will consume time and you miss your target. 2, monitoring. You're monitoring the progress of the work. As you're watching you're working the progress of, because you're going to give a daily report. That was what he does. We give daily report on the progress, on percentages. and based on their scopes, they are given to them. So monitoring and what's the other one I said? Controlling. These are the things you yes, to make sure you meet that time frame. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so impressed by your input. Mr. Zachariah, your mic is on. Are you there? Are you there?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes. Go on, please.
All right. Thank you so much. So, time is money. If you don't manage time well, you end up, spending a lot on a project you intended to spend still amount of money on. We're all aware that prices of things now are skyrocketing. I mean, if you go to the market, the price of a bag of rice, for example, or a bag of cement, it will not be the same price if you go to the market the next 2 weeks. So if you are managing a project, it will only be good for you to stick to your timeline. Otherwise, you stand to lose in terms of cost and also effectiveness of your ability to manage that project very well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's very important. You must be able to manage the time for each of the projects, because truth be told, the sponsors of that project have their reasons for the project. So for you to be on that project for time unnecessary is also a way of tying down their resources. You are tying down their resources. You end up spending more. Yeah, just like what Mr. Zachariah said, you end up spending more because you are not working based on time allocated for each of the projects. That's the reason for any project to be embarked on, you must ensure that you do your proper analysis on time management. Proper analysis. The first phase, how long is it going to take? The second phase, how long is it going to take? The third phase, and so on and so forth. So that at the end of the day, give and take. You are able to give to your client a tentative date for what? The delivery of the product, the project. The reason why we always say, don't give your client the exact time. Okay, I have a business with Mr. Lawrence, and he's telling me, I am your sponsor. I want this project completed in the next 1 month. As a sponsor, he doesn't know what I will be going through. Even if it's going to be possible for me to complete that project within a month, he's not concerned about it. All he wants is result. But it is in my place as a professional to let him know, sir, with due respect, you are the sponsor, no doubt. This project will be completed in 1 month and 3 weeks. 1 month, 3 weeks. We will drag, okay, 1 month, 2 weeks. The reason for the additional 2 weeks is for us to carry out the control measure. So that if there's anything that needs to be put in place before the delivery, we can do that. Meanwhile, within us as a team, we are working towards actualizing that project within a month. So all hands will be on deck to complete that project in 1 month. The remaining 2 weeks is used for what? Expert judgment, where I can call Mr. Zachariah as an expert. Sir, I just finished a project, please, can you come and help me check? And he comes in and says, no, this thing should be this way. This one could have been this one. At the end of the day, corrections are made. Delivery is also made. That is what the timing is all about. When we do that, we reduce cost, we reduce the payment for workers, and we are set out to do what? Accomplishing other objectives, other projects. So we talk about the cost. The cost is very important in projects. You need to understand that they must be what? Forecasting. You must forecast when you are doing what? Making your cost analysis. You must forecast. How do I forecast? Mr. Zakaria made a valid point. The cement that you bought yesterday, by next week may not be the same amount. What if you charge me based on 2 weeks price, 2 weeks ago price, and on getting to the market, you discover that the price currently is maybe about 10,000 for one bag? Will you have the nerves to come to me and tell me, hey, sir, actually, you see, it's not, I did not know. Please, can you? No. It makes you unprofessional, because you ought to have made your findings before coming up with what? With the cost. So, making your cost, you should also bring to bear your management reserves, contingency reserves. These are things that will help you in case of necessity. You talk about the risks. As a project manager, the first question is, what kind of risks will be associated with this project? What kind of risks? I'm going into business. What is the risk involved in business? What if somebody runs away with my money? What will I do? What if this place is coated with fire? What will I do? What if this? What if this? We often say in project management, the question that comes on the lips of the project manager is the question of what if scenario. What if? Every point in time, you are asking yourself, what if? The reason for asking yourself what if is not because you are a man with maybe negative thinking or negative mindset or negative belief. No. You are thinking as a strategist. You are thinking as a manager that what if, what will I do? If this happens this way, what will I do? What is the next step? What is the plan B as far as this project is concerned? You analyze your risks, identify the possible ways that the risk could come up, and you find ways to absorb the risk, mitigate the risk, share the risk, or otherwise.
This one, my
Your risk analysis, your risk identification, your risk control. As much as possible, you must be able to do what? Control your risks. We understand fully well, we don't have total control of everything that happens, but at the same time, you can do what? Control your risks. What are some of the ways that risk can be controlled in projects, even though you do not have total control of events that happen? Who can give us give us an explanation to that? How can we control risks?
There are several ways risk can be controlled. All depends on the kind of project you are working on. Like the type we will do. Before a project is being initiated or planned, what we do, we put in permit. We'll go to the place of the project, and what we do a physical analysis. Look at the structure, everything that has to do with structure, and see what is not right that can cause threat or trigger risk. After doing that findings, we'll go back to our office and start putting those mitigation in place to counter those risks, or to see how we can manage it. Because automatically you cannot eliminate risk. You cannot. There are risks that you
Yes.
cannot eliminate, but you
Yes.
manage it. You can only manage it. So what we do, we go back to the office, go to the drawing board and say, okay, this one, look at what we do. If it is, we put barricade tapes, say nobody should go to this area. We are working. Fine. It's a barrier, hard barrier. We manage that risk. This other one, there will be a structure, a hard barrier. We call scaffolder to put a hard barrier and put a signage. This place is not to be touched. Do you get me? So all these are means of managing and curtailing and also managing the risk as per se. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, go on, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please, go on.
Okay, so I think one of the effective ways of managing risks in project management is at the initial stage of the project, that's at the planning stage. You know, most projects are not just starting, so there may be many other projects of such sort that had happened before. So it will be good for you at the initial stage to plan very well, incorporate risk identification into your project planning stage, and think about what might be. Like you always say, what if? So what if I lose my money? What if I lose my boots? I mean, how do I do this? How do I do that? So incorporate those things into your planning at the initial phase of the project. That way you'll be able to, you know, control the risks. And if they occur, probably you can know how to go about managing them. For example, one of the things you can put in at the planning stage is to say inflation. You can factor in inflation, you know, for cost of goods and services into your project management at the initial stage. So when this inflation occurs, you already have a way of controlling it. Over.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All of these are ways that we could manage risks. The truth is, like Mr. Lawrence said, which is what is obtainable, you cannot do without risks. But as much as possible, what we try to do is to put every necessary tools on ground so that if peradventure the risk occurs, the impact will not be so much. The impact of the risk will not so much affect the project as to when there was nothing put on ground to even control it. Okay? Let's say, for example, just like he mentioned, you have a place where you've gone to do your survey, and you know, okay, these are the things that is capable of bringing risks, harm, hazard, and all of that. And you put measures on ground to curtail it. Even if at the end of the day, anything still happens, the impact of that risk will not be much. So it will not be overfelt by the organization. It will have been reduced to the minimum level. And then we talk about quality. Oh, quality. Quality, quality. The Juris Trilogy of quality says that quality is simply fit for use. The definition of quality, the easiest way of defining quality is fit for use. FIT, for use. Every sponsor, every project must be quality motivated. There's no way that you can compromise on quality and then have customer satisfaction. It is not possible. Hence, the desire, the objective of every project manager should be how to maintain quality, how to uphold quality. Your quality starts right from the quality of staff that you have for that project. It also starts with the acquisition of materials needed for that project. Quality is not something that is bought. Quality is in you. Quality is you. If you're a project manager that believes in quality, it will be evident. If you are another person that does not believe in quality, it will also be what? Be evident. So you must ensure that quality is what is upheld. Okay, so we talk about stakeholders with differing needs and expectation. Like we mentioned, every stakeholder has one expectation or another as far as the project is concerned. How do you meet their expectations? How do you meet their needs? Of course, they are different people with different mindsets, opinions, objectives, goals, and then you are in between these three people as the project manager. How will you survive? Mr. Lawrence, how do you work as a project manager with three different sponsors with different expectations? How do you work with these three people
Okay,
as a professional?
okay, yeah, as a professional, when you're working with different sponsors and different initiative or different idea or different quality, different standards, one thing is sure, you have to bring all these persons, sponsors, into a particular page by telling them this is standard. What do you want? You want this, you want this, you want this, you want this. You bring their ideas into a plain sheet and see how you can digest it for them to understand by your own standard you are bringing in. Because every project you are embarking on has a standard. It has happened before. It's not the first time it's happening. So you go back to your drawing board and go to the archive and get how these people does theirs. How did they come to a fruitful completion? What are their challenges? What are we carry this knowledge to them and say, bros, look at this thing. Look at it. They were able to understand because you're able to get a kind of antecedent, a good one, a remarkable one. And you will see them trying to come into your place and you carry them along.
Okay, thank you. Every project with sponsors, the project manager must ensure that you are able, first and foremost, to understand the organizational culture, the organizational structure, the organizational beliefs. A project manager fails when he believes, I have been doing this for the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years. In fact, when I started, some of you were still wearing Pampers. As a matter of fact, I know what to do. You are going to fail successfully because you have not sat down to ask certain questions as far as the organization is concerned. How do they do their things here? The previous projects that they've been having, how did it always end? How has the relationship been with other past project managers? Okay, let me go to their documents and see some of the recorded lessons learned on each of the projects. Because as a matter of fact, in each project that you embark on, at the end of the project, there must be a document that is known as lessons learned. There is a document for that. This document shows the good side of the project, the bad side, the ugly side, the challenges, everything that we encountered in the life cycle of this project. It is documented there. Why? So that when another person comes in, you are presented with the document, you read, digest, and know where to start. But when you don't calm yourself down and you think, I've gotten the project, I'm now the project manager, there is three of them that I can work with them, you are going to fail. Why? Because each of these people have different expectations. And as a project manager, the harm that you can do to yourself is to make your allegiance known by the three people that you're having an allegiance to Mr. A or with Mr. A. Your loyalty can be seen towards Mr. A. That is the biggest mistake that any project manager can have. And if you do not take your time, you will lose that project. They can bring another person to even complete that project that you started. So what do? Your allegiance should not be visible to anybody. I am not showing loyalty to Mr. A, neither Mr. B or C, but within my heart, I know who is the right person. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Do not show your loyalty, your allegiance, when you have more than one person in the project as neutral. Is for you to be what? To be neutral as much as possible. Be neutral. Mr. Lawrence, so what is my opinion valid? Don't you support my opinion? Is what I'm saying not the right thing? Don't say yes. Mr. B will not like, okay, you are saying yes. So me, what I said was not, it's all right, no problem now. You be neutral as much as possible. Like we said, understand the organizational culture of that organization. Understand organizational structure. How is the organization structured? Who is who? They are sponsors, no doubt. But what influence does this Mr. A has over B and C? What influence does Mr. C has over B and A? What influence does B have over A and C? You must do what? Understand so that you can work amicably with them. We talk about the project life cycle. Okay? The project life cycle. We say that the project life cycle is a collection of phases that are performed in completing a project. Like the analogy that Mr. Lawrence painted, what they are doing, that is a project life cycle. The technicians are there, the mechanics are there, the plumbers are there, the welders are there. This is what a cycle. Once these various departments conclude their job, it means that the project in its entirety is complete. Why? Because the mechanical department are true, the plumbing department are true, the engineering department. We say that each project phase is marked by completion of one or more deliverables. Each project phase is marked by what? By completion of one or more deliverables. So the conclusion of a project phase is generally marked by a review of both key deliverables and project performance to date. So once you are able to complete a particular phase, there is need for a review. There is need for what? Analysis. How was it done? Is the completion of this phase going to affect the completion of another phase? Or should the other phase be complete before you start analyze it? We need to have a review so that everything can be in line with what we want. So we determine if the project or not. We also do what? Dictate and correct errors at the initial stage. That is why each of the phases should be what? Should be reviewed, so that if there's any error, if there's any mistake to be corrected, it has to be done at that early stage. When it gets to the later stage, it can be more expensive, it can be detrimental to what? To the project. Okay? So the life cycle is talking about the beginning and the end of the project. The beginning and the end of the project. You've had the idea of having a business, you've planned, you've executed, you've done everything, and then the business is standing. That means that the cycle for that business is what? Is complete. Is complete. Okay. So let's look at the project stakeholders. Project stakeholders, like we mentioned, are individuals and organizations that are actively involved in the project or whose interests may be positively or negatively affected as a result of the execution or the completion of the project, just like I mentioned. Okay? So be able to do what? Identify their key positions. A project manager is also a stakeholder. The customer is a stakeholder, right? The workers, the suppliers are stakeholders. The community are stakeholders. These are people that the project affects individually, positively, collectively as a group, or negatively. Okay, so we talk about performing organization. Now, who or what can we classify as projectized organization and non-projectized organization? Can anybody, a projectized organization or company and a non-projectized company or organization?
Your screen is not showing again. I don't know if I'm the only one complaining. I assume you are sharing the screen and it's not showing anyone.
Yes, yes, it's okay. Can we just, are we all here? Okay, let's
Yes.
have, okay, let's have a 5-minute recess so I can please get that rectified. Just 5 minutes or less, and I'll get that sorted, please. The power has just gone off. That's why, so I need to get my power back. Thank you. Well, we are back. We are back. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. So I was asking a question. I said, what do you understand by projectized organization and a non-projectized organization? Who can attempt that? Hello, are we together? Are we still here?
We are still here. We are still here. Go ahead.
Okay, I was asking a question. I said, can you give us a brief on a projectized organization and a non-projectized organization?
From the language above, just like you said, a projectized organization should be an organization that supports and carry out projects. While a non-projectized, the opposite is the case.
All right, thank you. Any other person? At the end of the class, I think maybe Lawrence needs 2 certificates. He's been so active. I'll tell the management. I'll tell the management to give him extra certificates.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much in
advance. Any other person? Any other person? Okay, so we are saying that. Sure, you can see.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Hello, can you hear me? So Friday.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, I think when we talk about projectized and non-projectized, we are talking about authority and application of resources. So for organization that has the manager applying his authority to approve and allocate resources for the management of those projects, that is a projectized organization. And then vice versa for non-projectized. I don't know if this makes sense.
Yes, just like what you said, a projectized organization is, for example, Mr. Lawrence's company are into project execution. Their work is just to execute projects. Why? They have the manpower, they have the technology, they have the equipment, they have the money, they have the space, they have everything that you can think of that will enable you to execute a project. So his company will be known as a projectized company because they have everything that they can use in executing a project. And the other way, I can have my own company, a project, okay, maybe like a construction company and all of that. My own is to get projects. I don't have the manpower. I don't have the machines. I don't have the technology. I don't have anything. But it is possible that I get a contract and I then do what? Go to Mr. Lawrence and present what I have to him. We reach an agreement. The percentage is agreed upon. Mr. Lawrence moves in and executes the project on my behalf. That is a projectized and a non-projectized organization. So we talk about the project team members, the group that is performing the work on the project, the sponsors, and what have you. We said stakeholders' expectation must be carefully managed, since stakeholders often have very different and conflicting objectives for the project. That's why I said you must be what? You must be on the fence. Be neutral. Being neutral, you'll be able to manage each person. Do not report anybody to another person. Don't. Yes, sir. You see, I really like you. In fact, the way you speak, you're a very good man. It's just that the way Mr. B was talking, I don't really. What did he say? What did he say? It's not that I'm reporting, but it was just that the project cannot be done that way. It has to be his own way. And really, oh, no problems. We are together. You have sold yourself out completely. You have sold yourself out. Don't report anybody to anybody. Be neutral as much as possible. We talk about organizational influences to projects. These are things that can influence the execution of a project in any organization. Don't forget I said for every project manager that is moving into an organization, you must understand organizational structure, the organizational system. How do they operate? Who is who? Organizational style. What do they believe in? There are some organizations that you go to and they tell you, for the purpose of this project, the gender must be equal, 50-50. And you say, no, as a project manager, I don't like working with women. But that is what the organization believes in, that there must be gender balance. Or they tell you it is 60% men, 40% women. You say, no, I always like working 100% with men. You must do what understand. If there's any reason or any need that you should dialogue, it has to be on a peaceful mode, not bringing your own opinion, not forcing your opinion, not forcing your ideology on the organization to not work. These are things that influence what a project. There's organizational structure, there's hierarchy. You say, no, I don't like the way that man, the way he talks, I don't like him. I cannot work with him. So instead of reporting to him, you are reporting to the overall boss. You're already in trouble. Why? Because we are bypassing hierarchy. So we talk about project office. Okay? Project-based organization whose operations consist primarily of what? Of projects. Organizations that derive their revenue primarily from performing projects for others. Just like I mentioned, Mr. Lawrence is getting his revenue by what? Performing a project for me. I am not the executor. Mr. Lawrence is. So he can decide to take the lion's share because he has all the necessary equipment, materials, everything. He has the manpower. He has everything. So he could say, okay, Mr. Gabriel, you see, for this project, let's make it 70-30. I will agree. Because if the project is left to me, I cannot execute it. So he is making revenue, he's making profit from executing what? Project from me. The non-project-based organization often lack management system designed to support projects this efficiently and effectively. It's just this case that has been portrayed. So organizational culture is reflected in their shared values, the norms, the beliefs, and expectations, in their policies and procedures, in their view of authority, relationship, and the likes. So, how can you manage a project when you do not understand organizational structure? When you do not understand organizational hierarchy, when you do not understand how the norms, the procedures are. They just employed you as the HR of a company. You say they will see. Once I get there, I will tell them that I have been an HR manager for the past 30 years. I don't take rubbish. I don't take nonsense. Oga, calm down. When the staff will gang up and show you pepper, you will hate yourself. You even want to resign. But when you go there, oh, Mr. Lagbaja, how are you? I want to ask, how are things done here? Who is who? How do you people do the? The Muslim amongst, what time do they allow them to go for their prayers? The Christian amongst, what time do they? What time do you go for your lunch? You are trying to buy the people to yourself? You are trying to buy the people. They will believe, they will trust, have confidence in you, because you are trying to do what? Play along with the politics that is displayed or played in such organization. But when you go and you say, no, I have been, well, so we talk about organizational structure, such as functional structure, the metric structure, and the projectized structure. All of these structures have different impact on the organization. When you talk about a functional structure, you are talking about a structure with high level of functionality, where every department is being given the right tools to function with, where every individual is assigned the roles that they are meant to based on their professionalism. It's not a system where the mechanic is the carpenter is the bricklayer is the accountant now becomes the sweeper or the cleaner. Such an organization cannot function. Why? Because people are meant to be given the roles that they are qualified for without sentiment. Without sentiment, every department is functioning at the level that they are supposed to function. And then you talk about the metric structure. On this, the metrics organization are a blend of functional and projectized characteristics. You talk about the weak, the strong. Okay? When you say that an organization has a weak matrices, it means that in some areas of that project, some levels of weakness is spotted, is identified. Okay? So, what is the expectation of the manager, the project manager, is to ensure that such gaps are closed. You do not open your eyes and begin like, don't worry, in the course of the project, everything will be taken care of. It will not amount to any serious issues. This is a minor issue, is a minor case. In every project, there is nothing like minor and there's nothing like major. A minor case should be treated as a major case, because when it is overlooked, it can bring about issues that you may not be able to handle. So in organization, there are things like that. Where you do not have efficient and effective people in position, a department is weak. It affects the overall project. So you need to do what? Expedite action. And then when you have the strong, okay, the strong one means that every person is working at what? At an optimal level. Every person is working at optimal level. Every line of authority, every functional area, every functional line, they are doing what? Discharging their roles and responsibilities as effective, efficient as possible. There is no room for what? For laxity, for loopholes, for laziness, for complacency. No room for that. Once that is done, the project will meet the expected time frame allocated for it. the quality will be maintained. The cost will not be pushed towards, or they will not incur much or more cost, but they will stay in line to the cost, and then the risks associated would have been what? Mitigated, would have been reduced. The impact will not be what? Will not be felt. So every organization looks at the weak and the strong matrices. Okay, so the organizational structure influences on project. You talk about the finance and accounting, the sales, the marketing, research and development, and manufacturing and distribution, strategic planning, tactical planning, and operational planning. What is the difference between strategic planning and tactical planning? What is the difference between strategic planning and tactical planning? Mr. Sylvester, your mic is on. You want to answer the difference between strategic planning and tactical planning? Mr. Lawrence, as usual now, help us, help our condition.
Yeah, you're not in condition, no. You're on training.
Okay.
Okay. I think there are two, will I say there are two different and similar, all depends on the ways of the project and how the circumstances of the project. You said strategic planning, Abi?
Yes, and tactical planning.
Okay. Strategic planning is a kind of a structural planning for a particular project. It's a structural planning based on scopes, based on activities. For the one for tactical planning, it's not structured, it's not founded. It's something that comes, let me say, will I say it comes an emergency? Do you get something like that? It comes on emergency or something that was not foreseen. It just happened. And you just have to start planning how to put things together. Thank you.
Okay. Any other person?
Hello? Yeah,
Yes.
let me add up.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Dixon is my name. I think
All right,
strategic planning is a planning on a higher level, while tactical planning is planning on maybe those that carry out the tasks in the field. Those ones are at tactical level, while at strategic level is at the managerial level. All those planning, provisioning, and the rest of them, it happens at the strategic level. While the tactical level are the those on the field that carry out those kind of planning. I think that's what I can add for now.
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Mr. Zakaria, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So the strategic and tactical planning processes are different in just what I can say, timing. So for strategic planning, there are long-term or can say broad goals that organization wants to achieve. So they plan towards that. But for tactical planning, they are just meant to, solve the, what can I say now? Just short-term goals of an organization. There are long-term goals and there are short-term business goals for any. Times are meant towards that, while the tactical terms are meant towards the short terms. Over.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And let me put it this way. Chelsea Football Club and Man City were to play. On the board of Chelsea, the management of Chelsea Football Club, they have already developed a strategy. They've already developed a strategy on how they want to play the match of the day, knowing fully well that they are playing with Man City, right? On getting to the field of play, they discover that the strategy that they came up with does not match the strategy for that match. Okay? So what do? Before you hear, you say, there's a tactical change. That tactical change can be translated to tactical strategy. You say, okay, we were playing maybe two attackers up front. Now, we are now substituting one attacker and bringing in one defender. That is a tactical change. In other words, the tactical change is just a temporary strategy to curtail what is coming as far as that project is concerned. Within the time frame, within the scope of the project. So it is not a long-term strategy. It is usually a short-term strategy, because that tactical strategy that is adopted in playing Man City can never be used in playing Arsenal. So when we find ourselves playing Arsenal, if there is need to bring tactical strategy, we will bring, because of the situation on ground. Meaning that it is always a short term, whereas the strategic planning is usually a long term. So in project management, sometimes we deploy both the strategic planning and then the tactical planning. The tactical planning here will have to do with the application of tools, the management, the effective use of tools to achieve a result. The strategic planning, on the other side, is talking about how do we acquire the tools? Of what use will it be? What is the cost implication? Who are the people that are going to be using it? That is the plan, the strategic plan. How long will these tools last? That is the planning. But the tactical has to do with, don't use this one, use this one to achieve the result. That is tactics. We have used this other one, it did not work. Let us use this other machine. And when you use it, it works. The objective is achieved. That is the difference between strategic planning and what? Tactical planning. And then we talk about operational planning. Operational planning, of course, we say operational has to do with the day-to-day running of the business. So, in other words, as the project is concerned, every operation that goes on within the scope of that project, within the time frame of that project, is known as what? Operational planning. On a daily basis, things happen. Why are things happening? What should we do for things to continue to happen on a daily basis, to have a hit-free kind of operation where there are no challenges, where there are no difficulties? People that need to work have what they need to work with without stress. That is what operational planning. Are we on the right track? Are we on the right track?
Yes.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right. So we talk about the key general management skills that every project manager must have certain skills. What are some of the skills that a project manager must have?
One,
Okay. Go on.
Okay, we have to consider one of the skills that the project manager needs to have is the communicating skills, because communication is very, very vital. And how you being communicating? Yes.
Communication skill. Thank you. That's very important as far as project is concerned.
Stakeholders management skill.
Stakeholders management skills, yes. Building relationship, yes. Conflict management, team building, supervision, delegation, motivation. These are skills that every manager should have if you must be able to actualize your project. Be able to delegate authorities. Know who is fit for what. Don't do it based on sentiment. I'm doing it as the spirit leads. Me, I don't work based on what anybody thinks. As the spirit leads me, that is how I work. Oga, leave your spirit for house. Be professional. I like the way she talks. Hence, she's the account manager. Your money go finish. I like her face. She has a beautiful smile. In fact, the guy is very okay. I like his suit, the way he dresses to the office. In fact, this position fits him. Yeah, that is your own assessment. So you are carried away by the way he dresses. You are carried away by the kind of contact he keeps. You are carried away by the smile. You don't work by that. You don't work by that. Your ability to supervise. A project manager is a supervisor. Even when you have supervisors, you are the overall supervisor. Like Lawrence mentioned, ability to communicate effectively in the language that the people will understand. In the language they will understand. Don't come and speak grammar for people that do not understand and make everything complex. For some of us that are managers, for some of us that people are working under us, what is the source of motivation? How are you motivating your people so that in 2024, they will go all out to work for you? What is the source of motivation? It's very important because job is done through people and by people. You cannot do it alone now. Imagine Mr. Lawrence having a project now. He's the project manager, he's the supervisor, he's the excavator, he's the driver, he's the accountant, he's the HR manager, he's the admin. Your guy, you break down. So
you collapse.
Work is done through people. You achieve your objectives through people. Therefore, as much as you can, motivate your staff to get the best from them. Like we say, motivation varies. Seek to understand what motivates a particular person and what does not motivate a particular person. Fine, the person can appreciate it, but does that really motivate that person to do extra? The answer is no. Imagine you have worked for 365 days. At the end of the day, they buy water bottle for you as a gift. I just call Mr. Lawrence, please stand up. This is our talking to you, and you go home and you open this water bottle for 500 naira. Mr. Lawrence, how will you feel?
Terribly bad, disappointed.
You feel disappointed. Why will you be disappointed? Because that is not what motivates you. At this point in time, water bottle cannot motivate you. But imagine if At the end of the year, oh, Mr. Lawrence, the management want to appreciate you with a plot of land in maybe in a choice location in Abuja. Your level of that motivates you a whole lot. What we are trying to say in essence is what motivates Mr. Lawrence may not motivate another person. And what motivates that person may not motivate Mr. Lawrence. So as a project manager, it is in my place to ensure that I study and know each person that is working and know what motivates them. To some people, it could just be, oh, a round of applause, let's recognize, and the person will feel so proud. Ah, they clap for me. In fact, I stood up and everybody clapped for me, including the managers. They feel so happy. But Mr. Lawrence has gone past that kind of level where they only clap for him and his pocket is empty. He has gone past that level. So we must, for work to go on, work, people must be motivated. We talk about conflict management. How do you manage conflict? What is the conflict management styles that you are adopting to managing conflict? Are you a person that listens to both sides, or you are judging already before hearing from both sides? A case is brought to you. Hey, I knew it. That lady, that's how she talks. I'm sure that is how she'll be talking to her husband. What transpired? What happened? You are not careful to listen. Hey, I knew it that guy, that man, I knew it. Don't you see the way he walks? He's so arrogant. He's so proud. Don't you see this? I knew that man will do this. Did you care to listen? To know what really went on, what happened? So a project manager must be able to resolve conflict without taking sides. If somebody needs to be penalized, let that person be penalized. If that person needs to be suspended, let the person be suspended. Whatever punishment that is accrued to that person, that punishment must be meted. Not but if we give him suspension now, he's the breadwinner of the family. I'm just pitying for him. I'm just pitying. Let us not do it that way. It can't work like that. It can't work like that. I used to have, one of my protege is an HR manager. When she resumed her office, I was apparently in my house. I was apparently working with her in the office. Every minute I am called. Every second I am called. One of the days, sir, my MD said I should terminate this man's appointment. Sir, I cannot write the letter. I cannot write the letter. My conscience is disturbing me. I laughed at her. Say, this man is the breadwinner. How will he feel? You will go home now. The man is crying. Sir, I cannot write the letter. What do you advise I do? Well, she was asking me my advice to her. And I said, my advice to you is, did the person commit the crime? He said, yes. I said, write the letter. He said, Sabod, I'm just pitying him. He's a family man. How will he feed? There's no job out there. I said, write the letter. So what am I trying to say? Do not work based on emotion. We are not saying that you should not apply human sympathy or what. Apply, but don't be totally carried away. Somebody is crying, the way he walked into my office and he was crying, I pitied, I cannot terminate it, I cannot suspend it. No. Even if you cannot terminate his appointment, you can give him 3-week suspension to serve as deterrent. Be able to hold your ground, because human beings are human beings. Once I told the lady, I said, come, as the HR manager, you need to hold your ground in that organization. By the time the staff understand you, that once I cry in her presence, she will melt, they will take advantage of that and begin to do what they are not supposed to do. They say, to me, is that lady that is the HR? Don't worry, just do it. Once you are caught, enter to her office and start crying. She will pardon you. They take advantage. So a project manager must be able to do what? Resolve conflicts amicably. Conflict will always come. You cannot run away from it. But how you resolve the conflict is very important. And then talk about other techniques. Sometimes in resolving conflicts, we have the win-win scenario. We have the collaborative technique. We have the win-win technique. Okay? Whichever one that you know is suitable, use it to get the result. We say managing oneself through personal time management, stress management, others, and other techniques. Okay? You need to be able to do what? Manage your staff the best possible way that you can. We say establishing direction, developing both vision of the future and strategies for producing the changes needed to achieve that vision. You must be able to do what? Provide direction, strategize, let people see where we are going to. 2024 is coming. Where are we going to? Where are we headed? What direction are we taking? What is the vision? What is the plan? What is the strategy? They want to know that. Aligning people, communicating the vision by words and deeds to all those whose cooperation may be needed to achieve the vision. Don't say, let me get the vision. Whatever I do, and they must follow me. Tell them what is the vision so that each person can work towards that, okay, can align themselves and help in achieving the vision through their experiences, through their expertise, through their professionalism, then motivating and inspiring, helping people energize themselves to overcome political, bureaucratic, and resource barriers to change. Okay? Inspire people. Some people can be sent for training, development, awards, what have you, compensation. You just imagine Mr. Lawrence coming to the project, coming to the project site, and in his usual way, he comes in, everybody is, hey, Mr. Lawrence, you are welcome, sir, you are welcome, sir. And he now turned and said, lunch on my head. Everybody, free lunch on my head. You can imagine the excitement. You can imagine the level that the people will work, understand this, inspire them. Okay? Then we talk about communicating, the exchange of information. Okay? One of the most important tools that a project manager must know, understand, is communication management. Communication management helps you in communicating effectively with all your stakeholders. Knowing who needs what, who am I supposed to write letter to, who is the stakeholder that doesn't read letter, who is the stakeholder that only attends to calls by 1 a.m., some 11 p.m., who is the stakeholder that reads his chat or replies mails by 12 midnight. You are able to do what? Communicate with these people. So during the daytime, you know there's no point seeking the attention of these people. He will not respond. Why? His only time is between 11 to 1 a.m. What kind of communication channel should I adopt? You must understand. We talk about communicating dimensions. For example, written, oral, listening, and speaking. A project manager must possess all these qualities. Your ability to write, your ability to be audible, your ability to have listening ears, your ability to speak and convince people. Being a project manager doesn't mean that you are the ultimate, that you know it all. Have listening ears. Your workers may just provide a solution to a problem. Okay? Like there's this popular, is it advert or whatever, that they use Peter Obi's voice. He say, I got the advice from a madman. I got the advice from a madman. Anybody can give you an advice, suggestion that will bring solution to your problem. So you must have what? A listening ear. Even when you may not take everything, but listen. Listen. Out of the multitude, you could just get one thing done. Okay? We talk about internal, that's within the project, and external to the project customer. The media, the public, all of these people represent what? The external. Meaning that there are certain information that is expected of you, expected from you as a project manager. Is it internal? Is it external? If it is external, how do you present it to the people out there? What kind of language should you be using? What kind of structure should you be using? For example, you talk about reports, you are going for briefings and what have you. You need to do what? Know what you are giving out. Then a project manager must have negotiation skill. A project manager must have what? Good negotiation skills. The ability to negotiate, the ability to reach an agreement, the ability to reach an agreement, seal contract. Then we talk about the changes to scope, cost, or schedule, contract terms and conditions, assignment, resources. Also what? Problem solving. Also what? Problem solving. Problems. It is important for a manager to emphasize on the root cause rather than the symptoms. When you're able to tackle the root cause, you would have been able to prevent the symptoms or reduce the symptoms to the barest minimum. Then your decision making, ability to make decisions, analyzing issues, taking a stand, and taking what? Decisions. Okay, so what are some of the standards that a project manager needs to abide with? For every discipline, there are rules of engagement, there are standards. Okay, So we say a standard is a document approved by a recognized body that provides for common and repeated use, rules, guidelines, or characteristics for products, processes, or services with which compliance is not mandatory. They must be what? A standard. There must be a document that shows that of a truth, there is provision, there are rules, there are regulations, there are processes that we must abide with in order for us to achieve what we want to achieve. Then we talk about regulation. We talk about regulation, a document which lays down products, process, or service characteristics, including the applicable administrative provisions mandatory. In the project, the regulation is a guideline, a principle that keeps the operation of the project binding, ongoing. For example, one of the regulations, as far as this is concerned, is quality. Quality is a regulation. So that if we go contrary to the laid down regulations, we could be what? Penalized. We could be penalized. We must comply 100% to what? To the regulations that the project itself is exposed to. Now, I want to ask us a question. And the question is, why do we always have project managers that compromise? What leads to compromise as a project manager? Anybody can respond to it.
Oh, I think familiarity. When a project manager is too familiar with the clients, it can also lead to compromise. Two, when the stakeholders, few of the stakeholders, or maybe the stakeholders are corrupt, it will lead to compromise. And again, when the project manager is also corrupt and does not have a standard, and for the fact that probably he doesn't have a standard and he wants to be earning a project, definitely it will lead to a compromise. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other person? You can drop it. Okay, you can drop it on the group chat. Why do project managers compromise? I personally think it is selfishness. I think personally, because of selfish interest, they begin to, okay, somebody says, cutting corners to make gain. Sometimes you see something that you know you should not even take as a project. But because of what selfish interest, you want to cut corners and you accept it. Definitely you will compromise. Ask today and said, supposing you are okay, I want us to maybe contribute to this. We had a conversation, kind of an argument, and somebody asked me, I said, supposing a government awards you with a contract, and then the contract is supposed to be 10 billion, and the government asks you to make it 500 billion, will you do it? And I said no. They said, why? I said, one of the reasons that I will not do is simply because it is unprofessional as a project manager to inflate prices unnecessarily. He said, no, it is the government that is asking you to do it. It is the government that is asking you to. I now said, do you also realize that the money that they are asking me to put from 10 billion to 100 billion, that money would have been used for something else to benefit the populace, but they've decided to just pocket it within and among themselves. It became an argument. A project manager came and said he will do it 100%. He will inflate the price to 100 billion. I said, why? He said, it is ethical as a project manager to do it, because if you don't do it, another person will do it. Now, let us analyze this as professionals. Is it ethical within the scope of project management, or it is unethical? What do you see to this debate? Anybody can contribute.
Okay, I want to contribute. Maybe I should say that it's unethical. It's unethical, actually, in the real sense. But like you rightly mentioned, if you refuse to do it as a professional, somebody else will go ahead and do it. Or if the person does not do it, in fact, somebody else will go ahead and do it, even if you don't do it. So that is the situation we find ourselves. One person will want to correct a bad situation, but there are so many other people around there who want to gain from that situation that you want to correct. So you see that what you have in mind to achieve, you are not able to achieve it because the society does not allow for what you actually intend to correct. Otherwise, the right and ethical thing for anybody to do is to refuse to do that project in that inflated price.
Thank you, sir. And that's exactly what they were hammering on. That if I don't do it, I'm doing Mr. Righteous, Mr. Sent, that if I don't do it, another person will take up the project and do it, and the money will still be shared, and I would have missed out from my own jumbo package and all of that. Mr. Lawrence, what do you say to that?
Okay, so that is why I said corruption. Initially, I said corruption, and this is the corruption we are talking about. Relation of figure, sorting of figures in project management. So for me, as a professional that I am, this has nothing to do with Christianity or no Christianity. But one thing is sure, as a project manager, automatically a professional, you maintain your stand. I have a standard. Tutor, let me surprise you. Today you rejected that money. You rejected that offer. Tomorrow, when they will call you for a mega project that is even mega project than what you have been offered, because they will know that you don't compromise. But for that other guy, they will just put in that this person is flexible. It's not certain. Some other person too can come and do that same thing. You will do it. So just as a professional, maintain your stand and do your job with quality. That's all.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any other person to contribute to that? You see, all of these things, sometimes when you look at what is happening within the system, you begin to ask yourself, are you in the right place? We are clamoring for a good system, and yet nobody is willing to pay the price to do it. If you do it, they will tag you to be a bad, maybe somebody that is not sharp. You don't want to seize the opportunity and eat from your own nation. Otherwise, I see no reason why project managers that are involved in project should have a building collapse within 3 weeks of starting the project. What exactly went wrong? There was a compromise somewhere. Were you not informed? Did you not see it? You saw it. What did you do? They will tell you that's what we do. Just forget that thing. Just do what they ask you to do. Remove your eye from. But how long can we continue like this? And then expect that things will change. Expect that we will have the desired. See, most of the building structures that we have today, in places like Abu Dhabi, in places like in France, in Italy, if they try it here, I don't know, only God will help us. But the truth of the matter is, we should try as much as possible to uphold integrity. That is one of the ways to manage your project. Like Mr. Lawrence said, for the fact that you stood your ground and you miss this project doesn't mean that no other project will come your way. It will definitely come. And like I told them, I said, come. Even if you use my name, my company's name, to do the project that I didn't approve of, one day, somebody will visit that same project that you did. There will be an analysis, there will be a review, and everything that was hidden will come to light. Why can't you just do the right thing and save yourself the good name? Your goodwill is very important. Your integrity is very important. This is one of the things that the project manager should have. High level of integrity. High level of integrity is very, very, very important. Okay. So let's look at all of this is just having an overlap, talking about the interaction between the different process groups and all of that. Okay, so let's look at the input. In project management, we have the input, we have the output, and we have the tools and techniques. Okay, the input, the output, and then the tools and the techniques. First, the input, a document or documentable items that will be acted upon. All the plans that we have that we want to act on is what is documented. And then the tools and the techniques. How are we going to achieve those actions that you have already documented? What tools are we going to be using in order to achieve that? And what results? The output, the document or documentable items that are a result of what? Of the process. So whatever result we get as a result of the input and the application of the tools is what we have as what? As the output. Is what we have as the what? As the output. So Wow. I'm looking at the risk management planning. The risk management planning. Oftentimes I say that a project manager does not plan for risk because he does not believe, or plans for risk because he does not believe in God. He's not a Christian, he's not a Muslim, he's not a traditional worshiper, he does not believe in anything. That's the reason he plans, so that God will help him, or Allah will help, or otherwise. No. You don't plan for risk because you are negative in your thought. No. You don't plan for risk because you have not done all that is needed to be done. No. Like Lawrence said a few minutes ago, we cannot do without risk. And that is fact. That is the truth. No matter what you do, you can do 100%, everything 100%. At the end of the day, it still occurs. So we plan for risk because we are not in total control of events. That is the reason we plan for risk. You have done everything. You want to mix your cement and all that. 2 hours ago, the sky was as bright as anything. The sun was as hot as anything. You said, this one will be like, okay, just cut 50 bags of cement. Oh, you start mixing. 5 minutes later, the cloud is going to change. Another 2 minutes later, heavy downpour. What will you say to that? What will you say to that? Nature, the weather changed and it affected you. The question is, did you envisage that it was going to rain? The answer is no. But since you were not in total control of events, of nature, of happenings, you had to test part of what? The risk. And the impact on that project was heavily felt. So the reason we plan for all of this is so that we can just look for any approach whatsoever, any method that we can adopt to do what? To reduce the level, the impact, the effect of risk on the project. Okay? Deciding how to approach and plan for risk management in a project. Simple. We talk about resource planning. Determine what resources. Talking about the people. Talking about the machines. Talking about money. Talking about material. How do you plan for your resource or resources? How do you plan for it? Do you outsource as a project manager, or you have the capacity to get the resources that you need? Are you going for make or buy analysis? Make or buy analysis. What is prompting your decision for make or buy analysis? Of what impact, effect will it have on the organization? So we must understand that resource planning is very important. The human power, the equipment, materials, the quantities, and what have you is critical to performing every phase of the project. Of course, cost estimating, developing an approximation, estimate of the cost of the resources required to complete project activities. Every sponsor wants money rolled out at once. They give you money, approve the budget, approve the proposal, everything, money is given, and it is believed that you are not coming back to ask for anything again because you would have done all your what estimation. Sometimes in project management, we say that expert judgment is very key. Expert judgment is critical. There are certain projects that I may not have total cost estimate because of my own perspective, because of my own level of experience. But having someone like Lawrence is a plus to me. I go to him as an expert. He looks at it critically and he gives me an independent assessment, examination, an independent criticism of what? Of the project, and gives me an overall view of what should become the cost, the estimate of that project. Expert judgment. Every project is being rounded up by what? The involvement of experts. Because what I can see with my 2 eyes, with the involvement of Lawrence, he can even see further than what I've seen. Why? Level of experience matters. Level of exposure matters. Critical analysis matters. So gone were the days I say I don't want anybody to interfere in my project. It is my project. Okay? Nobody is coming to take your job. You are only trying to bring about standard quality with the involvement of what? The professionals, the experts, who know better than you. Okay? So the cost budgeting, allocating the overall cost estimate to individual work packages. Each department, what is the cost allocation? What is the cost, the budget for each department? The technical department, the HR department, the administrative department, the procurement department, the marketing, the sales. What is the budget allocated for them? Then we talk about project plan development, taking the result of the planning processes and putting them into a consistent, coherent document. Every phase of the project must be what? Well documented. You are documenting this because this will not be the last project you'll be doing. For example, if I don't document our suppliers, by the time we have another project, I will go all over to recruiting or sourcing for suppliers. That is time wasting. Whereas I have all the information of my suppliers in the document. All I need to do is to go to the document, extract their information, put a call to them, fix a meeting, contract is entered into without stress. Without stress. Why? We have been able to establish a cordial relationship. The understanding is there. They know what my business is into. We share the same vision. We are achieving the same result with the help of one another. They have my back and I have their back. We're in support of one another. So it saves me the time, it saves me the cost, and it gives me what? the confidence, the trust, because I know of this supplier's what quality. That is what a project manager should understand. Then we talk about quality planning. Identify which quality standards are relevant to the project and determine how to satisfy them. Like we said, in each of the projects, quality is expected. How do we achieve quality? How can we satisfy our customers? What can we inject into the project that will give us the desired quality? Do we need to change the manpower? Do we need to change our suppliers? Do we need to change our machines? What exactly do we need to change in order for us to get the desired quality that is expected? We talk about organizational planning, identify, documenting, and assigning project roles, responsibilities, and reporting relationship. The organization must identify, document, and assign roles to people that are suitable for such roles. Then staff acquisition, getting the human resources needed, assigned to and working on the project. Do we need skilled labor? Do we need semi-skilled labor? Do we need unskilled labor? Do we need expatriates? Do we need consultants? Do we need to outsource? You must get it. Then communication process or planning, determine information and communications needs of the stakeholders. Who needs what information? When will they need it? And how will it be given to them? It's your responsibility. It's Mr. Lawrence's responsibility, not mine, because he's the project manager. So Lawrence should know what information, who needs a certain information, when will they need it? Like that man that needs his information by 11 p.m. That means on a daily basis, you must stay awake till 11 p.m. in order to give a report to him. How will it be given? Will it be through calls? Will it be through WhatsApp chat? Will it be through conference call? Will it be through emails? You need to know how, when, and who, and why. Risk identification. Determining which risks are likely to affect the project and documenting the characteristics of each. You talk about qualitative risk analysis and quantitative risk analysis. What is the difference between qualitative risk analysis and quantitative? Anybody can answer, please. Qualitative risk analysis and quantitative risk analysis.
Okay. Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, I thought someone wanted to say something, so I
No, you
muted
can
my.
go ahead. You can go ahead.
Let me say something.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
All right. So analyzing risk both in terms of quality and quantity. So for quality, it's like analyzing the risk based on the outcome of what the risk can give to the organization. In terms of the value of that particular risk. Then for quantity is in numerical terms, as what the risk intends to give. For example, in monitoring terms, we say, if we don't analyze this risk very well and don't act upon it to mitigate it or to manage it to the barest minimum, this is the amount of money that this organization is bound to lose, or the number of clients that we're bound to lose. So that's the difference between qualitative and quantitative risk analysis, in my own view. Over.
All right. Thank you.
Can I ask something?
You are free, sir.
Okay. I'm looking at it in my own view is that qualitative has to do with somebody's notion or what you perceive, or a judgment, what you perceive about that particular risk. While quantitative entails data, available data to you that you have, that you use in analyzing risk. Thank you.
Okay. Any other person? Okay. Oluwasegun, you want to say something? Mr. Lawrence, you want to say something? Okay, so in the absence of no other contribution, just like what the first speaker, the last speaker analyzed, when you're talking about qualitative risk analysis, you are simply making reference to the quality that will be affected in terms of the lives. If a particular risk happens now, of what impact will it have on the workforce? If it has a negative impact on the workforce, will that negative impact also affect the project? The answer is yes. Meaning that the negative impact will affect the project negatively. The quality of the project will also be visible, and it is traceable to how the workforce, the staff, the workers' disposition are. For example, somebody fell down, broke his legs, right? Is it possible for that person to operate optimally? The answer is no. For example, 15 people are exposed to dangerous substances inhaled within the organization. 10 of them are hospitalized. 5 of them are not capable of working optimally. Will that not affect the quality of the project? Definitely, it will affect the quality of the project. So when we are assessing or analyzing the qualitative risk analysis, we are looking at what if this risk happens? Will it have negative effect on the quality, performance, quality output on our project through the staff? That is it. And then we talk about quantitative. How much are we going to lose? If this is not curtailed, how much are we going to lose? Imagine your staff are not trained on how to use fire extinguisher. Your staff are not trained on fire drill. There is no provision for safety rules, policies, and what have you. There is fire outbreak. The whole organization is destroyed. How much will it cost you to rebrand that company, to build that company? What about legal the legal suit that you might have as a result of people that are within that environment. The fire started from your company, entered into another person's organization or building. They sue you and you will pay. Could that have been curtailed? Could that have been managed? The answer is yes. If your staff were well trained, they would have been able to provide a solution, a temporary solution, pending when professionals come in. So you begin to count your cost. We have lost 500 million in lawsuits. We are going to build this structure again using 200 million. That is 700 million. We are going to buy furniture. We are going to fix the office. At the end of the day, you will see that the amount that you have used as a preventive or a reactive measure is more than what you would have used being a proactive person. So this is what organizations do. We analyze in terms of the quality. We also analyze in terms of what? The quantity. Like the first speaker said, it's all about numerics and then the value. Numerics and then the value. Then risk response planning, developing procedures and techniques to enhance opportunities and to reduce threats to the project objectives from the risks. That's what we are saying. We talk about procurement planning, determine what to procure, how much to procure, and when to procure. You don't procure because you just want to procure. You procure because the organization needs it, is in line with organization objectives and goals. How do we procure? Who is a procurement manager? What is the difference between procurement and purchasing? Who is a purchasing manager? What are their roles within the project? It must be what? Well defined. Procurement is more of contractual agreement. It's more of what? Contract. And you first and foremost understand what is contract. What are the principles of a valid contract? Why should we go into contractual agreement with the supplier and not just going on the street to patronize Risikat, Baba Muritala? Why do we need to have something solidified, something more standardized, something professional? This is to enable us know the right kind of products, materials that we can do what we can acquire. Solicitation planning, documenting product requirements and identifying potential sources. Okay? Let's look at I'm taking us somewhere. Okay. So in project management, the things that we need to put emphasis on is the knowledge areas of project integration management, project scope management, time management, cost management, quality management, human resource management, communications management, project risk management, and then project procurement management. These are the areas. Like I said, any business whatsoever, any endeavor that is being embarked on whatsoever that makes application of these 9 areas cannot fail in its pursuit. Cannot fail in its pursuit. So let us hold dearly to this.
It will be today. Since the very first time.
Let us hold dearly to this and try as much as possible
All
to
the
implement it and see what results that we come out with. Any question, please? Any question? Any contributions so far? Any shared experience so we can also learn from you? Any challenge that you have faced, are you able to provide solution to? You can share with us so we can also learn from you as an experienced professional manager that you are.
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Sir?
I have a question. Just a practical question somehow. In a project, for instance, let's say a construction work. In a project, say construction, because now you see all these building collapse and the rest of them. In the case of that kind of an eventual process, who is held responsible? Is it the project manager or the site engineer, or who is supposed to be held responsible if there is an event of building collapse?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lawrence, you can answer the question. You heard his question, right? Mr. Lawrence.
No, sir. You should come with the question again, sir. Come with the question again, sir. Please, sorry about that.
Okay. He's asking in the...
I will say again.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Said, in the case, if in a project, for instance, like construction, building construction, and in the event of a building collapse, who is held responsible? Is it the project manager that's in charge of that project, or the site engineer that gives all these other
the data management to listen to this? Okay, it's your phone I'm using.
Thank you.
Who is disturbing us now? Whose mic is on that is contradicting what you are saying now? Okay. Can we hear ourselves?
I think I can hear you.
Mercy, yes, okay. Please mute your mic. Mercy. Okay, Mr. Lawrence, did you hear him? Hello, Mr. Lawrence.
I'm talking. Sorry, I just unmute now. So I thought I was mute.
Okay.
So the site engineer and the project manager, both of them are into this project together, but different jobs, different jurisdictions, different phrase. The engineer plans the job from his own end, the structure, the drawing, and so on and so forth. The design, that is his job. You get why the project owner is the one that functionalize the job. So if for a peradventure such a thing happen, there will be an investigation. Like what we do here, we will carry out an investigation to know what caused that building to fail. It is from through the investigation, if we're able to know, is it an engineering failure, or by constructional failure, or by substandard material failure, then you will know who to blame. That is how it is done. So I don't know if I'm communicating, because we have mechanical engineers. We, by the grace of God, we happen to be there. We have a project project managers. So the design and everything is done. The documentation is carried out. The structure, everything is there. You, as a project manager, go and functionalize based on what we give to you. So we'll do the analysis, investigate, go a series of investigation. We go for standard or safety. Then after the investigation, we'll come out and say, okay, look at the fault. We'll go to the drawing board. Who is at fault? Then if it is the engineer, you will hold him responsible. If it's that of the project manager, you hold him responsible. That's how it's done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other person who is talking? Mr. Okoro Monday, you want to say something? Okay.
No, sir.
Mr. Ambrose, you want to say something? Okay,
No.
I personally believe that.
No, sorry, sir. I wanted to say something, but my system was interrupted.
Okay, Mr. Martins.
So I wanted to say that there's somebody that the ball stops at his desk, and I think that is the project manager. So whatever it is that is, he should be able to put all hands on deck to be able to perfect whatever is the aims and objective for that project. If the project fail in any aspects, I think it should be the one to be held responsible. That's my opinion to that.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Hello, can I contribute, please?
The floor is yours, sir.
Yes, sir. Please, on this issue of failure and construction failure, in most cases, we do blame the project manager or the site engineer. From my own experience, I discovered that the people who actually do the design for that construction, they are not the people who are given the contract to do the construction, the actual construction on the field. So in this case, the people who do the design, their design might actually change after the construction has actually been put in place. So we should, the people who, probably the NSC, the Nigeria Institute of Engineers, or whoever is in charge of these building failure or construction failure should look into it. They should not be sanctioning the project manager alone. Most times, the project manager puts in place the design that is given to him. So that is my contribution.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. We have all contributed immensely to this. You see, it is a debatable question and topic. The truth of the matter is, as far as building collapse is involved or is concerned, somebody must be held responsible, because it shows that somebody somewhere compromised standard, compromised quality, compromised the rule, the regulations, and what have you. Fine, the project manager can be held responsible. The site engineer can be held responsible. This is subject to investigation, like Lawrence said. You see, at times, the project manager is constrained just to play along. The project manager is constrained to play along and turn blind eyes. But as a professional, it is something that he should not accept in the first place. Or getting into the project and you begin to notice some kind of movement that is unprofessional, that is detrimental to the project and the overall beneficiaries of that project. He should be able to do what? Raise an alarm. But what will he do? if it's promised XYZ, is less concerned. So to me, at the end of the day, whoever, upon investigation, that is found guilty should face the consequences of it, their action, because they know exactly what to do. They know the right thing to do, but they chose not to do the right thing, but to go the other way. Whoever that is found guilty should face the wrath. But it's sad to see that at the end of the investigation, nobody is brought to book. Nobody is retrieved of his license. Nobody is penalized. Why? Because they all have long legs. I can do anything because I have Mr. Lawrence. I can do anything because Mr. Zachariah is my friend. I can do anything because Mr. Martins, we are 5 and 6. Hence, things happen that should not happen. So, who should be held responsible? Anybody that is found guilty. If it is the two of them that compromise, the two of them should go down. That's my honest.
Yes. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Once again, I want to make a contribution and also ask a question. You, like I have said the other time, you never made mention of the designer. I still insist because, where I work now, we have a project now, and the project now we started with design, the detailed engineering design, which will be done by a consultant. Now, what if it is the design that is faulty? What if it is the design that is faulty, and a faulty design is given to a contractor? You can understand what I am trying to say. So they should,
yes,
the investigation should be extended to the designer of the design. That is my own this thing. But my question now is this: how do you, as a project manager, how do you deal with political interference?
That's a very good question. Okay, like I said, sometimes designs are subject to test. For the fact that you've contracted me to give you a design doesn't mean that I know it all. That design should be taken thin and sinker. No, you can as well go your way out because you know what you want. Subject that design to an independent analysis and see if there's anything that ought to have been added or if there's anything that ought to have been deducted. By so doing, the thing is, at every point in time, once a design is made, there is supposed to be a stakeholders meeting where every stakeholder, every party representative must be there to look into that design. The designer is able to now interpret to the people to understand from his own point of view why XYZ needs to be where they are. And after that, it should also be subjected to an independent review and analysis before it can be accepted. But this time, somebody will just come, do design, the next thing, hey, yeah, come, hey, yeah, work on this. You can go and did you study it? Is it that person cannot make mistake? When he's supposed to put half inch, he's putting 1.5. Is it that he cannot make mistake? He can make mistake. But when you subject it to a third party, such a mistake can be dictated and any future issues can be avoided. That is what I believe. But people don't want to spend more. People don't want to spend more to get the desired result that they want.
Just to add, sir, you are very correct in analysis, sir. But I think most designs actually pass through those phases. You have the architectural design, you have the structural design, and those designs are equally, you have the mechanical as well. Those designs are actually subject to government approvals. We go through government civil engineer, structural engineer, architectural as well, and mechanical engineer. So except the company is not going through the due process of getting a government approval, probably they are cutting corners. You can't blame the designer alone. If there's an error, the structural engineer should note it in his own analysis. If they miss it from the point of design, the government official should note it. They should notice it as well at their own end. Thank you.
All right.
I wanted to add something. Okay. You know, I brought this question up because I was in a board meeting where this thing became, in fact, like a crossfiring. And at the end of that investigation, we noticed that the designer of the person that did the design of that, they handed over to the man implementing it. The man implementing it, because the owners, the clients, now see that the cost of materials are rising and they now want to cut corners. They now have to even stop the project manager, brought another person to continue the work. At the end, this project failed and it collapsed. During the investigation, we now have to understand that, it is not even the first project manager that is handling the work, doing the writing, was shoved away. And brought in another person that compromised the job with the structural man. That is the genesis of the failure of that project. So the design went through the normal channel, just the way one of the speakers now said, it went through the process and it was certified and it was approved. But the man doing the job found out that the costs, now this you see doing variation and the rest of them, at the end you see that the cost of the variation is now becoming so high and the man couldn't pay for those things. And they now have to just tactically shift the project manager and put in somebody else. And it led to the collapse of that building. So that's why I just brought it up, because I was in that board meeting where this, in fact, you will see just like as if they are in one Supreme Court.
That is the result of greed.
Yes, of cutting corners.
Yes. The result of greed, cutting corners. It does not pay. It does not pay in any way.
Exactly.
Politics in organization, just what you have mentioned or what you have portrayed so far is politics. Somebody is doing the right thing because you are looking at it that you are not going to gain what you have been planning. You showed the person out, you brought in some other person. Now, unknown to you, that this person that was doing the right thing was saving you cost. You brought the wrong person doing the wrong thing and you are now spending more. Who is losing? You are the one losing. You are the one losing.
But can I ask a small question, please?
Yes, sir.
I would want to know, in a construction site like the other speaker rightly said, who is the project handed over to? Project manager or an engineering firm? Somebody must be in charge of that project. And that person should take responsibility to ensure that everything goes according to what the structural plans and building plans are. If the engineers are not meeting up to standard, the project, I think, from my own point of view, I think the project manager should be held responsible.
If I can add,
okay.
The project manager oversees the project. He looks at what the engineering man has done and ensure that they comply to standard. But if at a point you feel threatened by the project manager and bring in another person because you want to cut costs, that is the disadvantage of it. That is what happened. So in a project, I think the project manager should be in charge of what happens there on that side. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Hello, sir. Can I come in again? Because I had people keep lamenting on the project manager. I don't know, maybe because someone is a project manager means he's superior or supernatural, how will I put it? Super being. It's not like that. It's not just as the name sounds. There are safety barriers we put in place. Like we that works on permit to work system. Before permit to be verified for us to go and work in the plant, it pass through different stages. First, the permit will be on draft stages. Second, it will be on JHA. All the parties will sign on JHA, job hazard analysis. They will go through it and confirm that yes, the JHA job hazard analysis is okay and mitigation are put in place. All of them, all the parties will, all the scope discipline will sign. After they approve it online, it will also go for verification stage. Now, the verification stage, it will be the operations that are operating in the plant that will be the one to verify this thing with the HSC. The HSC department will also be in that copy. After all that one is done, it will go to another authorization stage. The authorizer will still look into the permit again and to make sure everything is okay in the permit before it will be available for issues. Even when the permit is even issued to you to go and work, the permit holder also have a role to play to still go through the permit with the workers to make sure all this verification and every necessary equipment is written there and for the job to go. Even safety personnel. So I'm explaining all these things because all these stages you see are barrier. In case one fail, the other one will hold it. But because we are all human beings. So if one fail, the other one will get it. If this one fail, will get it. But however, if this particular issue skip through these processes, investigation must be put in place. Where is it coming from? Where did the error? See, there must be a starting point from where the error came from. And that is the root cause. That's why we'll go and strike. So that is my take. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for all our analysis, all our input, suggestions, and all of that. You see, I will just sum it up by saying a whole lot needs to be done as far as we are project managers. A whole lot needs to be done. The very moment we begin to do the right thing, that is the very moment we start getting it right. Every project manager is supposed to be in total control of the project, to see that it corresponds with the laid down prototype. That whatever thing that is doing, there is no deviation. And if there is any deviation, the people in charge should be called to order. That is the reason why you are there as the project manager and nothing more. So the success of that project, the execution, the failure of the project lies also in your hands. So if you throw your eyes away, say I'm not looking at that, let them, and somebody is trying to convince you unnecessarily to buy in to what you know that is not the right thing, that means you have compromised conscientiously. So let us try as much as possible to do what we are supposed to do the right way in order to get the right results. The project manager plays a very vital role in any project. There's nothing that can be achieved without the project manager being there. That is his function, that is his role. So challenges will come. Politics, you can never overrule. Will you be ready to play dirty politics, or you want to play clean politics and save will. That is an option. That is a choice that one should be able to decide on which one. If you want to compromise, the result is awaiting. If you want to do the right thing, the result is equally there. That is what we have for tonight. Any other input before we call it a day? We are almost 11 minutes above our time. So tomorrow we are going to continue. We are going to continue from 5 to 8. So the slide will be sent to the management so that they can forward it onward to us. Any other thing before we call it a day?
No, for me, no. Thank you very much. We're good.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. It's been an interactive session, and I quite like it. I know tomorrow will be even more hotter. Thank you very much for participating.
Be explosive.
And good night, all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Friday. Thank you, our esteemed participants. It has been a wonderful time. Good night, and we'll convene again tomorrow. Have a lovely night rest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and good night.
Good night. Thanks.